Welcome back to Golf Training Hacks. You know, golf is clearly about rotation. And to get rotation, you really need to look to your hips, your thoracic spine, and your shoulders. But unfortunately, a lot of us are stuck in too much flexion in our upper back. And that really limits range of motion, particularly in your backswing. Now, if you want to get those big drives, you need to get as much range of motion into your backswing as you can, because the longer your backswing, the more distance you have to impact. The more distance you have to impact, the more time you have to build up club head speed. And it's club head speed that delivers energy into the ball. So the more club head speed, clearly the more distance you're going to have on your shots.
But it's not just about the distance in the golf, it's also about your health, avoiding injury and hurting your back.
That's right, it isn't just about driving the ball far. When you're stuck in flexion, it's really tough to rotate. But golf is about rotation, right? So you're going to look someplace else for that rotation. Now, you'd love to get it from your hips, but the funny thing is, when you have stiff shoulders and a stiff upper back, and you're stuck in this dumped forward position, a lot of times you have stiff hips too. They seem to go together. Why? Well, we sit a lot. And sitting a lot stiffens up your hips, and it gets that forward rolled shoulder position, which is really tough to rotate from. So where are you going to rotate from? If your hips are stiff and your shoulders are stiff and your thoracic spine is stiff, well, you're going to look to your lumbar spine, and your lumbar spine does not want to rotate. Its capacity to rotate is limited. It's not like your hips and your thoracic spine. Now, it may be that you still try to get some rotation out of this tight upper back, and that's not going to be good either, because now you're forcing your thoracic spine to rotate in a position that's not in a neutral spine. And the neutral spine is where the spine works best. It's where it buffers force the best. If you're not in a neutral spine, it's really difficult to buffer the forces of the golf swing, which are shearing, compressive, and rotational forces. Now, you keep accumulating these rotational forces on a spine that's not in a good position, and you're likely to get injured.
And it's like a credit card over time. If you take that plastic piece and you keep bending it, eventually it's going to snap, and that's where the injury would occur.
Exactly. It's the accumulation of these rotations. Even under the best of circumstances, the golf swing is tough on your back. So when you put your back in a bad position, which is not in a neutral spine, then it's going to be even worse. So in this video, we're going to give you some exercises to help you with back extension and rotation. So let's get started. So before you do anything to help your rotation in your upper back, you really need to begin to get some extension in your upper back. Because without extension, it's really hard to rotate. And not only that, but without extension, if you're trying to rotate with your upper back in too much flexion, that could actually be an injury risk. But as far as the golf swing goes, you need to extend your upper back as you're working into your backswing. So Cheryl's going to demonstrate two easy ways to use a roller to begin to get some extension in your upper back. Breathing is so important. So in the first one, Cheryl's going to put her arms over her head, her hips stay on the ground, going to take a deep breath in through her nose and let it out through her nose, and just relax over the roller. If she has the roller high up, you could actually lower the position. She's going to come down a little bit and just breathe. So Cheryl's taking a deep breath in, nasal breathing, and she releases and she levers over the roller. Deep breath in, you come up and release the breath, and nice and easy. And you could just stay and breathe in this position too, and just take some deep breaths there in the down position. Now the second version of this would be a little bit more difficult. So Cheryl's going to come up in this starting position. She's going to raise her hips, then take a deep breath in, and then lower her hips and her shoulder, and her arms rather, at the same time. Deep breath in, hips come up, arms come up, and then exhale, and the hips and the arms go down. So this is a nice, easy way to get some extension movement into your upper back. As we say with everything, you go where you can. Cheryl has some nice extension. You don't have to get to any particular place. It's based on your own capabilities. This exercise is called twisting table. It's going to help you with your upper back rotation. The idea of this exercise is that we're stabilizing our hips so that we can focus on moving your shoulders and your thoracic spine. So Cheryl is going to get in a quadruped position, and the first movement is she's going to put her hand on the back of her head, and she's going to touch elbow to elbow, and then reach her other elbow as high as she can. And that's the first version of twisting table. Now you want to keep your your hips stable as you're doing this. You're really just trying to get movement in your upper back. Okay, that's great, Cheryl. Now the second one is going to be a little more difficult, where Cheryl's going to keep her arm extended. She's going to put her arm through the other arm and then raise her arm up and do the same thing. Again, your hips are stable. You don't want them rocking back and forth. So that's twisting table, 2 versions, and that's really designed to help you get more rotation in your upper back.